Alrighty, hello and good morning, everyone. My name is Matthew Dwyer, and I will be your tech lead for this first QuidCon panel, Life After Quidditch. I'm excited to see what these panelists have all written out and said for us. You can interact with this panel by going to our Slack channel if you're in the QuidCon Slack. It is # SAT10 postquid life. You'll be able to see, you'll be able to interact with others who are in the panel. You'll also be able to see some video from Sequoia Thomas and Brian Wong that we weren't able to fit into this panel, but we still want to put out there for you. The panelists that will be on this recorded video include Chisa Egbaloo, Missy Spinagle, Alex Brown, and Steve DiCarlo. And I would like to also point you all that we at QuidCon have a partnership with This Is How We Fly. Wonderful little novel here, including a lot of Quidditch. Highly recommend you check it out. So without further ado, let's get right on to the video. One moment, please.
Hi, my name is Reed Marchman. I'm joined here with Chisa on behalf of QuidCon, and today we're going to be talking about Quidditch and life afterwards. So, Chisa, I just have a couple questions. Just as a baseline, like, tell me about you and tell me about your Quidditch career. You know, when did it start and afterwards. So.
For sure. Got you. First off, hey, appreciate y'all, man. Happy to be
Oh
here.
yeah.
This is very enjoyable. It's good to be back, you know. So for me, my name is Chisa Egbaloo. My life after Quidditch consists of being the co-founder and CEO of a company called Pedal. We're America's #1 diversity hack. And what we do, we're a platform that helps corporations diversify their workforce with scholarships. So that means like any of our guys like Viacom CPS or Panasonic or Adidas, you know, they can't exactly say that they're looking to hire a Black woman developer, right? Or like a homosexual data scientist, right? But what they can do is put up a scholarship for that exact same thing through our platform, specify junior and undergrad, master's student, doctoral candidate, And it allows us to use that scholarship to source and specify specific demographics in regards to building a pipeline of talent straight towards the corporations so they can actually hire them. So that's what we do on our end. That's my LAQ, Life After Quidditch, just throwing that hashtag out there. That's my LAQ.
Yeah.
But during Quidditch, my career actually started, or I guess I was most known for being the captain and president of Rutgers University's Quidditch team in the beautiful land of New Brunswick, New Jersey. And so while there, was able to inherit a Quidditch team that was not as well formed and a little all over, and was able to really take that and turn it into a really cool and powerful and extremely inclusive and comfortable club that really produced some of the best Quidditch players that we know of now. They know who they are. Lindsay. Lindsay. Like I know if you're here, Lindsay. So and also a slew of others. And most importantly, if you're on the Northeast, you've likely passed through Quidditch House at some point or another in New Jersey. And if you're not in the Northeast, take the time to head over there. They're good people. So my Quidditch career actually started while I was in high school. In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I was first taught the arts of Quidditch essentially by LSU's Quidditch team. They came to our high school by request, and we put our high school team together. Just got a bunch of people. It was not football season, so we just got a bunch of us that played football that didn't have anything to do. And we got into a tournament at LSU, and we proudly, beat some of our. We were able to beat some of the teams there, which was like really great. Shout out to UNO, y'all good people, but we were able to do them a little dirty, when we were in 12th grade and 11th grade and 10th grade. And so we really got the Quidditch bug then and just started playing. And so then when I went to college at Rutgers, I was like, where's the team at? It wasn't really there as much. It was the seeds were spurring, and I was able to go there and really recruit. And I'd like to say build a culture that surpassed me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you mentioned almost like what is a legacy, right? You have this impact on this Rutgers Quidditch program that has extended obviously beyond your time there. And for a lot of people, they mention that to be their like proudest achievement in their collegiate careers, if they help spearhead something that really propelled dozens of hundreds of kids who end up coming through a program like that. So would you agree that might be something that you look back on and say like that was my big moment for me?
Yeah, it's one of the things that I'm literally the most proud of, that I was able to put together people that otherwise would have never met each other or been together or honestly literally done any functional thing together. That's the beauty of Quidditch, that you get these people that some of them are like, hey, I just loved Harry Potter growing up. Some of them are like, hey, you can hit people here, so like I'm interested, right? And we were able to bring them all together under one roof, not just to hang out, but to really become friends and brothers and sisters. And it was cool. You got some people that just transferred from this other school and they were playing football there, and now they play Quidditch. You got some people that have never played a sport. And that was the most beautiful part of it, getting to have people learn from each other, completely different walks of life. And I just always felt like our club embodied everything that Quidditch is supposed to be. And so I've been very proud about that.
Yeah. Do you think you took some of those same pillars of like that same foundation into your current works in life? You mentioned, you've got this huge, I obviously like incredible plan to pipeline, diverse talent into fields that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise been into. And the leadership qualities and the charisma that you obviously exude is very much there. But like, what about Quidditch transitioned you into that level of like impact?
I will say this, that the thing that I took greatest and most from Quidditch that has transferred best into, launching a startup is definitely not an easy thing. But I promise if you've launched a Quidditch club, you can do it. because the process is you're talking to people about something that they're extremely unfamiliar with. They might think it's even lame up front, and you're telling them a story, and you're telling them your experiences and the truth, and you're also preaching on a vision of what you can all do together. You're speaking on a common good that can make them look past their hindrances and join a team and see what they can do to contribute to move forward. So whether that's building a Quidditch team or if that's building a startup team, those are things that have been invaluable. And so a lot of my recruitment skills when it comes to the business world were cultivated by working within the Quidditch scope. And I know when we were at school, we had whole recruitment strategy and plans of like how we're gonna get this team together. And so it was always very important for me not to get just what we appear to be someone that we think is going to say they want to play. Like how do we get the people that we think there's no shot this person's going to want to join here? Like no shot, like that's who we need to go talk to right now, and then we got to make sure that the individuals that we think are a shoo-in, because that's the thing, whether you think they're a shoo-in or not, you're still judging a book by its cover.
Absolutely.
So it was like, you better talk to that person you think that's a shoo-in, like they're gonna just reject you to your face. And so even figuring out that plan and that process, and like knowing when to go 2 people instead of 3 people to go talk to them, or how long you gotta be friends with this person for like 3 weeks that you just met, and then you bring it up casually and see what happens, So it was all very transferable for me. There's no doubt.
Tell me about you as a player. Like, who are you as a player or like as a teammate? and did you kind of, how did you develop from that freshman type player, or was there not even a moment for it because you kind of came into a program that was already just so young?
I definitely developed. I think that, and my team knows it. Sometimes people feel, I didn't take it as a game. I took it pretty serious. And so, that has its pros and cons to it. I want people showing up to Power Gym 8 a.m. on Tuesday. I want them showing up to Power Gym Friday. I'm like, we ain't about to go, you're not about to go embarrass me. Embarrass yourself on your time. You feel me? So, right. I took it serious in that regard. And so when you take it serious, you care not just about what people do on the pitch. You care about them as human beings. And so, I loved how we fostered an environment that wanted everyone to come, but we didn't foster an environment that wanted people to just stay as they were. We wanted them to grow and develop. And that was very important to me, that if an individual is going to come here, they're going to find a family, and there's going to be a family that's going to make them better. And so, in all honesty, sometimes that's great, and sometimes it doesn't always work for everybody. And so, that can be the sour part. I think as I developed, I tried to figure out how to be more incorporating of everybody's goals. And that was always a big portion for me. I think as a player on the pitch, I think if I was on your team, you loved me. If I wasn't, you probably didn't like me that much. I love hitting hard. I think that was great. I think it was really fun. I loved scoring, and I loved making sure that everybody knew where it came from. So I think that during my time in Quidditch, there was perhaps an opinion that I wasn't as because I like to win so much. Maybe there was an opinion that I wasn't as inclusive as I actually was. But I at the time definitely only really cared about the opinions of my teammates, and so I love them to death. I love what they've done and what they've carried on to do. It's amazing. But that's really what I pin my hat on. What they were able to continue, making it to nationals, and they know we went through all types of things. The Rutgers program has been notoriously fighting against Rutgers University for years now.
I remember those posts.
Hashtag free Rutgers. So, free RUQ. So, I'm just proud that we've been able to at times get out of our own way, at times, overcome an administration that didn't always value us. And I didn't feel like our situations, what we were going through, were unique. But I thought that our ability to circumnavigate it by all costs was very unique. So I like people to take it serious on and off the pitch. And off the pitch means being extremely kind and fostering an environment for everyone to grow. Whether they're on our team or not, but on the pitch, it's like you got to play.
Yeah. Is there anything that surprised you after retiring or post Quidditch? Is there anything that surprised you that you ended up taking alongside that you were like, wow, that was actually incredibly useful? You mentioned you were like super competitive, but an incredibly loyal and passionate teammate and things like that. And I was just curious, for me personally, it was after Quidditch, I found out that I was much more of a people pleaser than I initially thought, because I came into Quidditch very
wow,
like looking at myself as like, how can I be the best me? And I came out of Quidditch as somebody is like, how can I empower the people I love? And so that's something I never thought I would need or use or even want. But Quidditch taught me how important that was. And so what was something like that for you that you use now?
I think that it might be that position of giving people the benefit of the doubt. I think probably going into Quidditch, I was much more likely to pin people by their maybe looks or experiences, right? It's like, they don't need, they don't, but I think that I've become much more willing to simply ask at all costs, like, what do you want to do? What are your goals? What do you want to see here? And like I said, I had to learn that at times a more difficult route, because sometimes you can think that your way is the way. And so I think that as I developed, I started to truly see how can we best, compromise can be either a very good word or a very bad word, determining who you're asking. But truly, how can you compromise and make sure that multiple goals are fed here? And also, how can you really talk to a person and tell them and make sure that you are creating an environment where they can tell you that your wants aren't conducive, or your actions aren't conducive to your wants, right? You want to be first in the East, but you're not operating like it, right? You want to create a nice environment where everyone can come and really hang out, but you're not exuding that behavior. So that was something I really took away, really learned about myself, that hey, I gotta foster what I give, but even more so than that, I have to figure out how to incorporate as much as I can everyone that's around, because I think everyone, from the great words of Lindsay Morella, everybody knows something that you don't.
Yeah, true. That's it's a humbling statement that I think even people who preach it will overlook sometimes. So that's so good. Do you think that there are any similarities in starting up this just working on your startup and then obviously getting going in comparison to Rutgers, like what, like people relations or logistics or anything like that? Like, what similarities were there?
Yeah, man. When I first started playing Quidditch at Rutgers, my very first teammates were just the other people on my floor, right? And when I first started, the company, it was those same people that were on my floor that I was first working with, right? Bouncing the ideas off of. So I realized how to network within proximity. But also just how you learn very quickly what you're trying to create and what you're trying to do, and then you're just that much more confident to push outside of your network and tailor and bring in these other people that you have no connection to. And then just like Quidditch, you realize that while you have this goal, the thing that you find that is most endearing and most fun for you is that family you've created. And it's that family that makes everything else worthwhile, right? Because you can go lose 4 days in a row in you can lose 4 games in a row in negative 10-degree weather, but you go back and it's all jokes and you're like, all right, this is fun, but I hate it, but this is fun, And that's a lot like how business can be at times, right? You can take a lot of L's that you got to turn to lessons, But at the end of the day, you love who you're with, and you're like, hey, this is a great time. Like, I am going to just keep on persevering here, and we'll come back better next time. And you got to learn that perseverance throughout all of it. And so that's a transferable skill set that will make you durable for any experience.
Yeah. I would say Quidditch might teach you perseverance more than anything, especially coming from a Rutgers player.
Yes, indeed. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Whole lot of.
Totally out of your control. Obviously, it's so crazy. But I don't want to linger on the negatives too much. Is there anybody you work with currently that either doesn't have like a background in Quidditch, and if so, how, like, have you told them that you have such a deep background in a sport adapted from a Harry Potter novel, and two, how did they react?
First off, everybody knows I'm a 2-time New Jersey State MVP. Okay, they're well aware. Okay, they're well aware of the fact. So there's nothing I shy away from. Even this here on my desk, let me take the pens out. I got this picture. This is a random picture. I even forgot this was here until just now. This is us at Columbia, South Carolina. I'm like, where was this? Like, Columbia, South Carolina, US Quidditch 9, US Quidditch Cup 9. So, I keep this here, keep that thing on me. So there's no doubt. I don't speak coy, not one bit, about my experiences. And I'm very proud about every step of it because, like I said, Quidditch is one of those things that if you're able to accomplish this, if you're able to put all of yourself into it, I feel like I can make anything look cool. So it's like, and you have to have that attitude stepping into it. I feel, there is an attitude that it takes to be successful in this sport. And that attitude determines a lot more than just the broomstick or the length of it or whatever. It's going to determine, what you're going to do and what you're not. Because when you're not scared of just going after what you truly like to do and truly love, it will. It's an unstoppable feeling. So I want everyone on my team to have that. I want everyone on my team to have, if not Quidditch, their Quidditch, right? Yeah. And I think that it's really powerful, and it's what you have to breed innovation. You can't swish if you're not willing to miss, and so there's a whole process. So to answer the question shortly, I am not ashamed, and I really wish that honestly the other people on my team had played Quidditch, because I think it would have really optimized their experiences, but also optimized their character.
Today we are talking to Alex Brown and Missy Spinagle, who were both members of the UCLA Quidditch team, as well as the Lost Boys Quidditch team. They both played for Team USA, Missy in 2012 and Alex in 2014. They are both two of my favorite Quidditch players, and I'm so glad that they can be here. So welcome, Alex and Missy. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it, Emily.
So, what have you been doing in your life after Quidditch?
I think the big thing is ever since we left Quidditch, we couldn't, we still needed to scratch that competitive itch. And so we've been going hard at beach handball. That's kind of our new sport of the day. Of the last few years, really, but kind of started working on that and worked our way up to being on the national team. So Missy's playing with USA women's beach handball, and I'm with USA men's beach handball, both of which are located mostly in the Redondo Beach area.
Yeah.
But we've since moved down to San Diego, so a little bit of a commute, but still trying to stay competitive and do that while living down here.
So, what are some skills that you found to be transferable between the two sports?
I mean, it's like Quidditch has so many elements to it that you can kind of take stuff from Quidditch to any sport. So I know for me, it's helped me become a better distributor and ball handler, just because you have to look at, there's 2 beaters you're up against plus 3 other chasers and all this stuff. And with handball, there are 3 defenders against you at all times. So it helps a lot to kind of like, instead of going from scatterbrained, I can like focus a lot.
Yeah, I think one of the things I also really like is beach handball is also a pretty small sport. Actually, I would even say in the US it's smaller than Quidditch, certainly. And when we were learning to play Quidditch, one of the big things is you have to be able to teach yourself the sport to a certain extent. Everyone has to be a player coach. Everyone's got to kind of figure it out on their own and make their own strategies and try to figure it out. Especially there's so many elements. There's not really a set way of doing things. And beach handball, it's a little bit simpler, but again, a lot of the time that we're spending trying to learn it is stuff that, we're out on the sand trying to figure it out ourselves, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work, maybe watch a little film, but really being able to teach yourself a sport the way that we did with Quidditch has been super helpful, and I think helped us pick it up a lot.
So at this point, both of you have played for 2 different national teams in 2 different sports. How do you feel being able to represent Team USA?
I mean, it's pretty crazy to think about, especially because both of those sports are sports that no one knows about. And so when I'm like, yeah, I played Team USA, people are like, that's so cool. And then they're like, I've never heard of it before. But I mean, I'm overwhelmed with pride, I think, when I get to play for Team USA.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's hard not to say it's a huge honor. I think that's part of the draw, and what pulled us into beach handball was knowing that since the national team was right there, there was the opportunity to kind of reach and play at that high level and kind of go up against other national teams and stuff like that. It definitely makes it different when you go out there. I love playing for UCLA. I love playing for the Lost Boys, but and we have club teams now for beach handball that we play for, but it's very different when you put on that USA jersey. It feels totally different.
How have your experiences at beach handball been similar to your experiences with Quidditch?
It's a pretty small, tight community. I think one of the things that's kind of fun is when we were starting, there's tournaments in kind of the LA area, for example, and some of the more seasoned members of the team have connections all over the world, because we kind of know all the beach handball players in the US at this point. It's that small, and you really start to get to know some of the players from other national teams, or if you travel other club teams, whatever, and they'll come out. And I think the community aspect is kind of similar in a sense, and just that, like, going to a tournament and seeing people that from these other teams, knowing that it's a small group of people that are dedicated to this sport, feels very Quidditchy to me.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. And I think just the atmosphere around tournaments feels kind of like, I don't know, it's a beach sport. So it's kind of like relaxed until you like get on the court and then it's go time. Mm-hmm. And I always felt like that with Quidditch, is like, you're like best friends with the other team until you play, and then the competition's on.
What advice do you have for people who are currently playing Quidditch? What are some things that you've learned?
I think the thing that I always think of, and the way that we kind of structure things both at UCLA and the Lost Boys, is you really got to try everything. I think that's the same thing with beach handball that I'm doing now is there's a bunch of positions. If you're trying to pick it up, if you're trying to learn, you can come in and think you know what you're going to do, but I mean, the next year you might have to switch from chaser to beater. You might have to do something else entirely. And it gives you, since you don't grow up playing the sport, really learning everything, learning the offense, learning the defense, in terms of Quidditch, of course, learning all the different positions, that'll make you a more well-rounded player, but also I think it really changes the way you think. It makes you more flexible. It makes you more adaptable. And that, for us has been huge in terms of transitioning to a sport after Quidditch.
Yeah. I think for me, just trying to think of how to say this. Like, love your sport.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being like a little embarrassed to tell people that I played Quidditch, even though I loved it and I thought it was an amazing sport. And I remember I was talking to a rugby guy at UCLA and he was like, "Oh, what do you play?" And I was like, "Oh, I play Quidditch." And he was like, "No, don't, like, if you love the sport, rep the sport."
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that I've carried with me ever since that time. And especially when you get a lot of like people making fun of you when you talk to people, and I'm like, look at it, it's amazing. But
yeah, the more serious you take it, the more serious other people take it.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit earlier about like transferable skills as a sport from Quidditch to handball. But are there any other skills that you feel like are really important that you picked up from Quidditch and have applied to your life elsewhere?
I think one of the things I was thinking of is Quidditch really made me realize I have to take on more things my own to a certain extent. With other sports, you got to learn skills, you got to learn whatever, but there's someone to teach you how to play the sport. There might be someone to help you with your fitness and your health. There might be someone to help you with strategy. There might be someone to tell you when to get to the field, to take the stuff down for you, whatever. I think there's such a almost DIY aspect to Quidditch that really has made me kind of more in control of a lot of elements. Right now we're kind of on a several-year health and wellness journey, and a lot of that is, I think, triggered by stuff that we maybe started with Quidditch and kind of ways of thinking that came from having to do a lot of that stuff ourselves and having to take on that responsibility of ownership.
Yeah. I think for me, it's helped me open up to people because I'm like generally pretty shy. But the Quidditch community was so welcoming and it's so diverse. It's just like no one's gonna judge you for who you are, and it made me feel like I could just talk to people without being scared of saying something stupid or yeah, I think that's
huge.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share about your experiences after Quidditch?
I think one of the biggest things is like I continue to be really proud of my involvement. I continue to tell people. I mean, when I interviewed, we moved down to San Diego because we got a new job down here. And in my phone screening with my now boss's boss, I mentioned playing Quidditch and, not just as kind of a passing anything, but like, yeah, this was something really important to me. And I think that it's something that speaks maybe to who I am and kind of what brought me to here and everything. It continues to be impactful. And, I even just recently, I've been working there for, more than 4 years now. And, he remembers that I was the person that in our interview talked about Quidditch. And he's like, yeah, that's awesome. That was so cool that you did that. And I think it goes back to, you own it. It's huge. And for us, it's part of what got us to where we are.
Yeah. I still talk about it to people today. I think I keep trying to get my team to go out and play. Well, obviously the pandemic happened, but maybe one day we might have.
So we are joined by Steve DiCarlo, who started playing for Hofstra in 2011, 2010 time. After playing for Hofstra, he moved out to the West Coast and joined the Lost Boys, where he played for 2 years before founding the Los Angeles Gambits, a team that would go on to win 3 Western Regional Championships. He is currently a founder of the Western Championship Quidditch, which is the West version of MLQ. And we are so lucky that he has decided to tell us what he is up to after Quidditch. So welcome, Steve.
Thank you. That was great.
So can you kind of tell us what you have been up to after you've retired from Quidditch?
So officially, I guess my retirement would be when the Gambits sort of ended. Tony and I were both sort of trying to take a break, and a bunch of the people on the team wanted to stop as well. So that's we wanted to make sure that the West still had plenty of competitive outlets, just because getting rid of one of the big like super teams kind of changed that a little bit. So that's why we ramped up the Western Championship Quidditch League last year, or I guess 2 years ago now. It was a huge success. It brought in like a lot of the top talent from a bunch of different teams, allowed everyone to work together in their areas. It was really successful. And then career-wise, I got a job with Screen Rant, which it's like one of my favorite superhero news websites. It does like all the superhero, like the films, the comics, all that stuff. And and then after that, Tony and I and one of our roommates, we actually bought a comic book store. It's called Comic Cult. It's in Torrance, and we've been doing that for the last 6 months. It's been going really well.
Yeah, that is so cool. So how did your time in Quidditch kind of help shape where you are now in your life?
So something to know about me before Quidditch, I was very, very much an introvert. And Quidditch, like I founded Hofstra's team, I captained Lost Boys, and then I helped found the Gambits. I had to get out of that shell, had to become like a lot more extroverted, and that helped me in a crazy amount of ways running a comic book store, because I have to talk to so many people on a daily basis. And literally when you're doing sales, like if you are not social with these people, if you aren't going and making the recommendations and having those conversations, you can't actually make that sale. It doesn't work out. So you have to really be personable to work in a business like this. And then beyond that, my writing job, something that that first got me I worked for Teen People magazine in New York City as soon as I graduated college. And one of the big things that actually got me that job was the fact I ran this little Quidditch blog called The Golden Snitchy back in 2011. And I showed them the view count for this little like Hunger Games styled fan fiction thing for Quidditch. And they saw the view count and they're like, "Oh, you're hired." And that's what got me my first job. And so it went from Teen People to Celeb, which went to Screen Rant. So I worked for about eight or 9 years writing for these websites, and that was all thanks to writing skills I acquired through writing a Quidditch blog. So Quidditch definitely got me a lot of my jobs post college.
Yeah, and I think as someone who was a very dedicated reader of the Golden Snitchy, I think it was such an interesting way to learn about other people around the community. So what advice would you give to someone who is just possibly thinking about starting to write about Quidditch? Yeah.
So something that I'm like really big on, and I posted about this on AQD a while ago, is pretty much any job that you're looking for, there's some sort of outlet in Quidditch that you can use to like actually train for like whatever job you're trying to reach at some point in your life. Where like as a writer, like it can be anything from I know that there's like a published Quidditch book now, the This Is How We Fly book. And there's so many different ways you can do it. You can write a fan fiction. You can write like just player blogs of or player spotlights of people that are on your team. You can do a regional spotlight. You can do like national preview stuff. There's so many different things you can write about. And a lot of people think that like, oh, no one's really interested because it's like the market is just so oversaturated with other Quidditch blogs. But that's not actually the case. A lot of times, like even if you just have one person that reads your article and learns from it, that's huge. There's this one something that I did on the Snitchy blog was I wrote a different little like things you can do during practices. And one of the things is a game called Dragon Tales, in which everyone gets a snitch tale, and everyone like it's a sort of a last person standing kind of thing where everyone's a seeker and a snitch. And what the coolest thing was, I my very first practice, I go across the country, literally from New York to California, and I see a team playing that drill that I made up, like just some night when I was like, oh, this could be fun. And so like you little things that you don't think actually matter and you don't think anyone's paying attention to, someone is actually reading that, taking in what you have to say. So whether it's some small thing or something huge, people want to read what you have to say. People want to see your pictures, any sort of little thing that you think that people aren't interested in, there's someone who's going to want it.
Yeah, absolutely. And in addition to like your writing skills, are there any other skills that you feel like your time in Quidditch helped you get?
Oh, absolutely. So being being a captain, you're forced to. So I'm a very non-confrontational person, and so being a captain, you kind of have to learn to like talk to refs in a way that like you have to make sure your point is clear, and like just that skill alone was something that I have to use. I have to talk to distributors all the time about like missing products and stuff like that. So I have to be able to speak up for myself. So that's a big one. And then managerial skills, definitely, where like there's stuff within running a comic book store that we have to like manage our time properly. We have to make sure we're ordering the right stuff, figuring out quantities and stuff like that. And so just when we go to a tournament and you're a captain, you're planning like, oh, everyone here, you're going to stay in this room, you're going to travel in this car, we need this money from you and stuff like that. All those little skills, like you actually end up using those as like a store owner or a lot of different jobs. I would say that you need those little skills that you learn from being a captain pretty much anywhere. And even if you're not like your team's captain, there's stuff you can do. I'm sure any captain's going to appreciate you stepping up and being like, hey, I can help organize our hotel room. I can help organize our travel plan, stuff like that. If you're trying to like acquire those skills, there's so many ways in Quidditch to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are skills that are like super transferable no matter what like business you want to get into.
Yeah.
So obviously Quidditch takes up a lot of time. What are you doing now that you are not playing Quidditch?
Oh my gosh. So there's this is the funniest thing. So there's this game that we play that's called HeroClix. And it's so the same way. Like there's so many parallels to Quidditch. It's unreal where like the West Coast is sort of like the stepchild that no one really wants. You've got Texas and New York are like the Texas and like the Northeast are the big hubs. And then there's problems with slow play and there's all this other like there's so many different like just exact parallels that I feel like perfectly at home within HeroClix, except I'm the Tony Rodriguez of HeroClix, where like I'm the big name in the West and Tony is the Steve, where he's really good and we always give each other a good game, but I'm the name that people know more from here. So it's a lot of fun. We travel all across the country for that. I got 5th place at nationals for that, which was really cool. Like you get thousands of dollars worth of prizing. So it's something that like it keeps the competitive juices flowing while it's also a little less intensive on your body.
Yeah. So for those of us who might not know, what's their like 5 or like 20-second pitch of what HeroClix is? I know we all have our like 20-second pitch of Quidditch. What is your 20-second pitch of HeroClix?
So how Quidditch is like rugby and dodgeball put together. HeroClix is a superhero chess game where basically you get all the Marvel heroes, all the DC heroes. There's wrestlers, there's Ninja Turtles, all these different characters, and they have different powers according to what they would have in the comics or the films or TV shows or whatever. And it's just maneuvering around a board. They interact with each other, and it's whoever scores the most points wins after a certain amount of time. Luckily, there's an actual set game time as opposed to like how some Quidditch games can go on forever or be super short. HeroClix games are already 45 minutes, and it's a lot of fun. It's just like a very strategic superhero chess game.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds very interesting. I would probably be very bad at it. And so Looking back at your time in Quidditch, what were the positives that came out of that experience?
Oh, there's so many positives. Definitely one of the big positives for Quidditch was just that it helped me break out of my shell a little bit, make me I'm a more independent person because like all the captain stuff, I had to learn how to manage a team and stuff like that, and that's been huge. Just the social skills that I helped acquire, that it helped me acquire. Just like also a passion for fitness is a big thing. Before, like my mom's a personal trainer, so I was sort of always forced to exercise. But like after Quidditch, I feel like I feel like a slug. Like if I go a few weeks without running or something like that. So Quidditch helped me like learn to like love to stay in shape, and yeah, just all the friends and stuff I've made along the way. As cheesy as that sounds, the spirit of Saint Quidditch is a real thing.
Yeah. And do you have any advice for people who are currently still in the sport about using their Quidditch experiences in their life post Quidditch?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, if you are like, I feel bad for the people that just play and then they step off the pitch and they don't think about Quidditch at all, because there's so many different things that you can do within Quidditch to train for like your future. If you like taking pictures, take pictures. If you like doing a podcast, do that. If you like writing about it, do that. If you want to be your team's like personal trainer and like help them work out during the week, that's the thing you can do. There's so many different things within Quidditch that like put in an extra hour or two each week into just trying out whatever skills that you have and applying it to your team. And it can be huge for you. It can be a game changer for your team. And it makes it a lot more fun, the whole experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So last question, and we might cut this depending on how you feel about it. So you are one of, I think, the people who in Quidditch, I know of at least two who have been on television. How did Quidditch help you get on Opposite Worlds, if at all?
Oh, please don't cut this. This is so important for people to know. Quidditch is like, if your goal is to be on reality TV in any capacity, Quidditch is the #1 selling point. I mean, just the fact that Opposite Worlds forced me to do that stupid like living room Quidditch scene where like they had like us all playing Quidditch on actual brooms and knocking into couches and shit. That is like a genuine, producers want to see something quirky like that. I know the Quidditch community knows about Opposite Worlds, but there was also the America Says show that Tony, Margot, Alman, Sofia de la Vega and I were on, and we won, what is it, $15,000 on that? Yeah, we won $15,000 playing that game. And then Vanessa, I don't think she used Quidditch for her show, but like there's so, and then there's another one that didn't air. It was on MTV, but I got money from that one as well. So many different shows. The second you say Quidditch, they're like, wait, what? And you are so much more interesting than anyone else in the room. We got like the whole Yahoo Sports thing with Martellus Bennett. And then we got featured in the LA Galaxy game. Like, it is such a thing that like, if you want to get noticed in any way, Quidditch is such a good conversation starter. Even if you're applying for a job, you put that on your resume and like now all of a sudden you have like a more fun, relaxed conversation with that person who's hiring you. So definitely use that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I definitely agree. I always get asked about Quidditch in my interviews. And they're like, what is that? And then you can be like, this is what it is. And these are all the cool things that I do with it.
Yeah.
Hire me. So yeah, is there anything else that you would like to talk about?
No, just hopefully people watch this and realize that like there's a lot of stuff they can do within Quidditch that actually applies to real life stuff. So stay with it, put your like whole self into the game, and you're gonna get something like pretty significant out of it.
Well, thank you again for coming and being a part of our Life After Quidditch panel. We really appreciate it, and thank you for all that you have done for Quidditch.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Alrighty, I'd like to thank everyone for attending and checking out our video here on the Life After Quidditch panel. Remember that you can go to our Slack channel, Sat10 Post Quid Life, to talk to other people who attended the panel, have some discussion, and also see a video that wasn't included here from Sequoia Thomas and Brian Wong. I think that'll be really interesting to see. And also would like to once more shout out our partnership with This Is How We Fly, fun young adult book you could go check out involving a lot of Quidditch. So thank you very much for attending, and we will see you at the next panel.